What is happening, everybody? So today I'm going to give you a short breakdown on how I made this track. So we're going to jump straight into it, and the first thing I started with this track was the bass. So let me jump straight into it. So the bass is a bass patch in Serum, and it's a patch I created called Tech House Deep Bass. So as you can hear, really subby, and just a little bit of distortion, compression, and then EQ, and yeah, you can copy that patch if you want. Just some basic EQ, little bit of saturation, and then I fed it to a bus for kickstart as well. And I also did some compression, some parallel compression using bass. So it started with the bass, then we had chords, which is a sample. So the chords really nice. Just there's a few samples in this track that I found that I really liked, and yeah, I made the cut in the end of it. We have our vocals then.
Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5. Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5.
So the vocals just, I have my vocal bus set up here on the left, and it's EQ, multiband, compression. I use compressors for sidechain, so there might be a small bit of compression there, a little bit of saturation, then sidechain, then a little bit of reverb, some EQ then just to shape it at the end. I also have an auto filter there just for automation, and then I have some delay and reverb, another reverb, then just a bigger reverb, just to make the vocals stand out. So the vocals originally were a sample of Splice that I used, and yeah, I really liked them, and it just went well with everything. The next thing was a dancing pluck. So this was a patch in Serum, also just added some kickstart, some echo, and then took the low end out with the EQ. So this is just two waves here in basic shapes, and so a little bit of sub, a little bit of noise on top, and then a lot of the work comes from the envelopes, just very short, stabby. I'm pretty sure this is yeah, it's a, I think it's a saw and a sine wave there. So yeah, so the idea behind that was to get a pluck kind of dancing from left to right, yeah, almost like an ARP without being an ARP, but and then we had this underneath, which was the ARP. This was an actual loop in the end from Splice, but it just went perfectly with the pluck. So just adds a nice layer underneath it then, and it just really helps it stand out. So I'll just play it out with the bass and the vocals then.
Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5. Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5.
So as you can hear, everything works really well, and it keeps kind of the vibe going. And then with the chords on top, it adds fullness then, and just nice and big then.
Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5. Got no 9 to 5.
So yeah, that groove really was nice then. Just underneath I have a drone synth, so I had it bounced here, and this is just something I do in Serum, which is a drone. Then I automate the cut off on the filter to open. So I'll just give you an example of that here. So yeah, really subtle, but that layer with strings just adds something underneath all of the elements then. So yeah, that and the intro, just underneath everything, really adds fullness and just keeps a little bit of glitter for your ear then over everything. So the next thing then, so that was my verse. So it was just arranged. So in the beginning I just did pure drums. Then in my intro I took everything out apart from some of the vocals and some of the bass, and I brought elements in slowly up to the verse, which was that hook with my arp and my pluck, and then with some drums underneath it. But I want to show you the drums in all together, so I'll show you that now in a sec. But the next thing then was my build and my chorus. So my build is very simple. It's just a straight 16th snare build up. So very simple there, 16th snare build up, a little bit of endless smile, just added some reverb and some texture and just basically add some space. I also have my strings underneath my drone synth then, which just adds energy and just adds the vibe that something big is coming. And then just some normal effects, some white noise, etc. It's little bits, but here is my main synth that comes in. So these are samples that I just tweaked. I added some effects and just added some kickstart, some sidechain, and let me show you. So the idea behind this was to add energy. So what I wanted was in my build was everything build up to that main synth, let that main synth run for 4 bars, then bring in the bass and the kick and make everything pop out. So I'll just show you an example of that here.
Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5. Got no 9 to 5. We've got no 9 to 5.
So yeah, really powerful. Definitely one for the club, and you can really hear the bass in that and everything standing out. So it was something that I really thought gave energy to the track and give it that basically vibes overall. But I think the main elements I worked the longest on this was definitely the drums. So most of these are samples from my machine. So if you've seen some previous tutorials on my drum buses, etc., if you haven't already, you can check that out on my channel. But that was basically the main elements I wanted to bring in on this, was really make the drums stand out and almost a little bit different in a hip hop way, as you'll hear now in a second. So let me just solo the bus. So yeah, really vibey drums, and I also change it up in certain sections. So let me give you an example of that. So what I do was just in certain sections I'd take away drums, etc. I'd introduce new elements just to keep the track kind of vibing. So for example, just in this element, it's more, I think, just snares and open hats and closed hats. So I'd really add and take away elements then to keep the kind of the track grooving all together. So I have my open hat, my closed hat, I have some rides, some shakers, I have a couple of different claps in here. So a small clap, bigger clap, and then some rims. And just some percussion, stuff like that. I have some sticks. And then some shakers then, and hats underneath. So as you can hear, everything grooves really well all together, and Machine definitely helps for that, being able to play it in. What I do is I play everything in and then drag it in an audio with Machine, so it gives me more control over it then. And then also it saves on processing power with, obviously you don't have 10 channels of Machine. So for my drum bus, I did it a little bit differently. So if you see my previous video, I usually use Smack Attack from my drum bus, but this time I just decided to keep it a little bit more simple. So I have a glue compressor, I have some saturation, if I load up. Yeah, so just have some small saturation. I introduced the J37, so this is really, really nice for drums. There's a lovely drum room in this, and it just adds some texture with the tape. Just adds a little bit more fullness, and then just have my normal buses then with some drum verb, and I think that, let me have a look. Yeah, so drum verb, and then my parallel drum compression, then basically drum distortion. So yeah, that all together with the track just really helps everything stand out. So yeah, really, really nice. I think the other element in the track then that is slightly different is this section here, which has just a wee rhythm arp. So yeah, just slightly different there, and I just wanted something to change up then, as I have a little build up here. Yeah, so just slight differences there. I just wanted something else to kind of finish the track out, as it is a long track. It's about 5 minutes. It's a long extended mix. It's probably the longest track I've actually released to date, but as you can see, there's a lot of elements that's reused, and it's mainly just about arrangement and keeping the listener hooked. So hence why there's a lot of drums, there's a lot of differences throughout the track, and yeah, it's just most of it was basically built around the arrangement. So but that's all the key elements. If you'd like to find out more about certain things I did, drop a comment below, let me know what I can improve on, let me know what you'd like to hear. You can listen to the track over on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, anything like that. All the links will be in the description. So yeah, check the whole track out, and we will see you next time with the next tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know. Cheers.